In this example, we will demonstrate the sharing of a common shared space on a file server. This of course falls under the file server functional architecture. For this example, we will look at a case where we have a client that is on a network, and at the same time we also have a server on the network, and this server incidentally has been configured based on the file server architecture. Let us call this client Kumar, and this client operates under the Windows XP client operating system, and let's call this server Nanda, that operates under the Windows 2000 server operating system. On this server we have placed a folder known as the temp folder for sharing. Incidentally, we have placed this folder for sharing by everyone. What does this mean? This means that when you access the temp folder, you do not have to specify a username or a password to gain access to the folder. In this example, we will map this folder to a logical drive on this client, and in this case the logical drive letter would be Z. Once we map this folder as a logical drive, then we can upload and download information very simply by moving information between the different logical drives that appear on this computer. For example, we will have the C drive, we will have the D drive. These are local logical drives. When we exchange information with these logical drives and the mapped logical drive, we are basically transferring information between the client here and the server over there. Now let us start the process of mapping the drive or mapping the temporary folder that is available for sharing on the file server. Now these are the logical drives on this computer. As a matter of fact, there is one physical disk that has been partitioned into various logical drives. The drive letters are, for instance, C, E, F, etc. Now let us map the temp folder on the file server by going into Tools, clicking on Map Network Drive. That opens this window, and we have chosen the drive letter Z for mapping the folder on the server. Of course, you could choose any other drive letter from this list, but we have chosen Z. Now we need to give the path to the shared folder. We need to follow a certain convention that is shown here. This convention is known as the uniform naming convention, where we would first specify the name of the server, that is preceded by two backslashes, and the name of the server here is Nanda, N-A-N-D-A, followed by the name of the share. In this case it is the folder called temp, so we will type temp, and if you want this folder to be mapped each time we log into this computer, then of course we have to click on this box. But let us say that we don't want to reconnect at each logon, meaning that we don't have to click on this box. Now by clicking on finish, we could map that folder as a logical drive. Now we are seeing the content of the logical drive. Let's go back one level, and of course we see that the temp folder on the file server has now been mapped as logical drive Z onto this computer. When you see this icon with a network connection, this means that we have indeed mapped a folder or a storage space from some other computer onto this computer here. Now let's see how we can download a file from this temp folder. Remember that this temp folder is on the server. Double click on this, and of course we have a folder that is known as test. If we need to download this test folder, right click on that, let's say copy, and of course then let's go back and go to one of the local logical drives. Let us see that we want to download this into a temporary file on drive E. Double click, right click, and say paste. We already have a folder by that name. Let's overwrite this folder, and we could see that the folder from the file server has now been downloaded to a local logical disk or a local folder here. Now if we want to upload one of these files, let us say that let's take this file here, and if we want to upload this file to the server, what do? The process is just the opposite. We will say copy, then of course we'll go back one more time, and here is the folder on the server. Now by saying paste, we are basically uploading a file from our local computer to the folder on the server. Now we see that the folder has been uploaded to the server. This is an example of the use of the file server architecture. Once again, when you install the file server functional architecture, you are simply making the server as a common shared storage unit. Now if we don't want to access the folder on the server anymore, we can always disconnect this mapped folder. How do we do that? We'll go to Tools, and we will click on Disconnect Network Drive. We will select this as the network drive to be disconnected. Click on OK, and we see that the mapped drive has now disappeared. With this example, and with an understanding on the sharing of the common storage space on the file server, we will now draw this discussion to an end.